Hello everyone, this is Jassim Mutlaq from StellarMate. In this tutorial, we'll be talking about using Eco's Dark Library. The Dark Library images are used to calibrate light frames in the Focus modulo, Alignment, and Guide modulo. So the purpose of using dark frames is to remove as much noise as possible in all of these modulos so that the star detection algorithms in guide and alignment work better. Sometimes, especially in guiding, you can you can fool the algorithm into picking up hot pixels and noise, and you want to minimize this as much as possible in order to guarantee a smooth operation for your astrophotography workflow. To create your dark library, go to the capture module, and then before actually we start, let's create a profile for your camera. So I have two cameras here. I have a cooled QHI 268 camera. And so I'm just going to select the camera and leave all the settings as they are. And this is my primary imaging camera. And then I have an uncooled guide camera, which is the Lodestar. And we'll see soon that you treat these two cameras differently, whether they are cooled or uncooled. All right, so let's click Save. So here we created our profiles, and then now let's go ahead and create our darks. So the first thing we need to do, of course, is we select the preset. The preset now is set to Lodestar. Below that, you need to select how you want to denoise the light frames, or how you want to remove the noise. We have two methods, either by a symbol using darks, so dark frame subtraction, or the other method is by defect map denoising. And so the defect map method is more effective for uncooled guide cameras, since just using simple dark frame subtraction is usually not sufficient to remove the hot pixels within the image. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. You need to judge that. Let's start by creating a few darks. Right here we can select the exposure range for our dark frames, the binning, and the count. So right now we have a sample of 25 frames to be taken. If we go ahead and use an exposure range of 1 to 5 seconds, so at 1 second exposure, binning one by one and count 5, so this is 5, then at 2 seconds we have another 5, and so forth. In my case, I usually capture images, guide images at 2 seconds. So I'm just going to leave it at this, and I will start the capture process. And now we just wait until the 5 frames are captured and then averaged to create our master dark frame. Alright, so we have now our dark frame, and as you can see, we have a few hot pixels in here. And this is what we need to remove in our dark frame subtraction or defect mapping. We need to remove these defects so that the star guiding algorithm is not fooled by these, hotspot. We also can see, a great vignetting effect to the upper left side of the image, and to the left side overall we see a great vignetting effect, and these could be detected as cold pixels. All right, so let's close this, and then let's go. And so now the next step is we need to create a defect map. So let's select this. Here we have the master dark already selected. We see some information on that. And below, this is where we select the bad pixels. And we have controls, which give us a percentage of the bad pixels we want to select. And you can judge this as you see. So for example, right now we have 34 pixels that are hot pixels that are automatically detected at 75 threshold. If we let's click create generate map, and then let's take a look. So the blue pixels are for the dark cold pixels, and then the red ones for the hot pixels. And let me just drag this here so you can see the effect. So let me now untoggle hot pixels, create generate map, and you can see like most of the hot pixels were identified correctly. So we can, for example, increase the threshold here and create generate map again. And we see here the number of hot pixels was increased by a few hot pixels. And but so sometimes you need to adjust this parameter until you're satisfied that that all the hot pixels in your image are accounted for. Usually, I completely ignore the cold pixels because they don't really affect much the guiding performance for my guide camera. And so, if you, once you're happy with this result, simply click save, and now you save the defect map, which is a list of all the bad pixels in your image. And next time you go to, for example, let's say you go to the align module and you create a preset, you'll find here, for example, the dark selection, which you can toggle on and off in your presets. If it's toggled, then and you select the lodestar, and your exposure happens to be 2 seconds at 1:1 binning, you know, all of these settings have to be the same. Then the dark frame correction is applied to this frame here in the alignment, for example. If you happen to take different exposure, different binning, then you need to take dark frames, create dark frames for these specific settings. Now let's go back to create darks, and the final thing is here we see view masters, in which you can see the masters already captured for all your frames before. And for the QHY, since this is a cooled camera, I usually select just simple dark subtraction. And if we go to dark, it's almost the same setup, except here you see that we have a temperature range. And so we can set which temperatures we should expose these images at, because the dark frames must be taken at the same exposure and at the same temperature as the light frames in order for this calibration or denoising process to work. So here, for example, if we set it from -1 to 0 at let's say 5 to 5 seconds, then that means it's going to take 5 exposures at -1 and then another 5 exposures at 0 degrees. And it's going to create 2 master darks with these settings. You can go ahead now and start, and you can see that the temperature is dropping. It's going to go to -1 first, and then when it finishes that, it's going to start capturing at 0. And so that's it. That's really all you need to do to create your dark frames. After the dark frames are generated, the master darks, they can be reused in all of ECOS modules. Hope this was useful. Clear skies.